When I first moved to France, I expected to learn about the culture, the language, the history, and maybe a little bit about cheese and wine too, of course. What I didn't expect was that France would slowly and sometimes stubbornly, if I'm being honest, teach me about something much bigger, and that is how to enjoy life. And that's what we're getting into today. Let's jump into it. Bonjour tout le monde, I'm Diane. This is We in France. I'm an American who has called the Loire Valley home since 2012, so welcome if you're new here, and welcome back if this is not your first rodeo. But first, I just want to start by saying there are so many ways to enjoy life. It's not one size fits all, but here, I'm not talking about the showy, Instagram kind of curated way of enjoying life, not in like a sip rosé by the Eiffel Tower cliched kind of way. It's not for show. But I want to talk about it in a way where enjoyment, it seeps into how you live day after day until it almost in a way starts to feel natural and becomes a part of who you are. Now, as I've gotten older, lived in France longer, experienced more of life's ups and downs, especially after my mom passed away in 2021, being grateful for all of life's positives has become even more important to me. So I think I have France to thank for that. Also for teaching me a few things about enjoying life. So thank you, French people. Thank you, France. And with that, number one is small moments. They matter just as much as the big ones. Now, in my first year here, when a lot of my observations that I talk about on this channel and on my blog took place, I automatically noticed how people around me kind of took pride in taking a pause, just stopping to enjoy these little things in life, like just a simple coffee break at work, a simple meal, a Sunday walk in the park, a conversation with a neighbor, not scrolling on their phones, multitasking, doing 100 things, but enjoying the moment. Now, it wasn't about, being seen at an event or making that a photo op. It was about just giving a small pocket of attention your time. And that was lacking in my life. So now, the new Diane, I have to say, I kind of noticed these opportunities to take little pauses. I do many myself, a neighbor leaning out the window just to chat in the street, a baker just taking time to dust the baguette with care, or families lingering on a park bench after school just to connect. People seem to take time to enjoy these little moments. And I just want to be clear, it's not that you can't carve out these moments for yourself back in the US or that no one does. People do, you can do this. It's just that in France, societal norms here make it way easier to do so. The pace of life is slower. People get paid vacation, healthcare. People don't live to work. And things like that absolutely make a difference on how much enjoyment you get out of your day to day. All right, number two, I've learned to pace myself.
Even if rushing
had become my norm. And I'll tell you the truth, before France, I was an overscheduler. I worked in downtown Manhattan, and if I had 15 free minutes, I would fill them. If I had downtime, I would try to maximize it. I don't know if you can relate to that. But then I came to think, well, doesn't life move fast enough on its own? I mean, why the heck are we trying to rush things even more? I mean, it feels like I moved to France yesterday, not back in 2012. So yeah, let's slow down. That French approach, at least outside bigger cities, I don't live in a big city. As far as I've observed, it's slower, but not in a lazy kind of way. There's just this understanding that life is not a constant sprint. You're not darting towards a finish line at all times. Trains will come when they come. Shops will close for lunch, and even a few weeks of vacation during the summer. Dinner might last hours. You focus on one thing, and that's been a good thing for me. All right, number three, food is connection. Now, yes, French food is delicious. I don't have to tell you that. But what really struck me was that meals in France were not something to rush through to get to the next thing. They were the main event. And I think I made a video here on my favorite French food habit that you should check out. But even weekday lunches at the office, they're treated like a true pause. You step away from your computer and work. They're not a pit stop where you rush back to your desk in 10 minutes. And I have to say, back at work in the US, I'd often eat lunch at my desk. And in France, people often even go to restaurants and they have wine. And I learned that even a simple salad, sandwich, or soup, it can be elevated when you take time to sit down to enjoy what you're actually eating. Maybe talk with someone and taste the food. And of course, good company helps, so does good wine. And this is something that I carried with me. Eat slowly, share often, and enjoy the moment. All right, number four, protect your free time. This one's huge. In France, People fiercely guard their weekends, their evenings, their holidays, their days off. And work-life balance, it's not just a buzzword. It's actually enforced here culturally and I believe legally in some respects. Now, back in the day, I used to feel guilty for not answering emails outside of work hours or not getting back to someone like that. Like I was kind of slacking or not performing well, or maybe it was really about just not wanting to let people down. But in France, don't be surprised if French people don't email you back on the weekend about work stuff. Here I really honed in that lesson that boundaries are good. It's not slacking. What it is it's respecting yourself enough so that you can actually enjoy your time, your life outside of work. And turning off that part of my brain, it feels so good. It's not always easy, but I see my free time now as something to defend, not something to fill with just, one more thing to cram into my day. Not doing that anymore. And it was kind of frustrating at first, just kind of adapting, but over time, I realized that slowing down was not wasting time. It was owning my time. There's a huge difference. All right, number 5, you don't need a reason to celebrate. And I love this. This is one of my favorite French habits. It's always been a part of me, but it's just come out now a little more because just do it. Do it just because. Celebrate, open that bottle of good wine that you've been saving for a good day. Even though it's just Wednesday, do it. Buy flowers for yourself, even though nothing special is going on. Use the good dishes. Go see live music on a random Friday night, Celebrate these little things. And it just seems to be more in line with the French way of life than the American way. I don't know. It depends on the person, but I love this. And since it was always a part of me, I do it too because it's how I like to live. But I have to say, although in the US, I did like celebrating whenever it was a good idea, I was so bad at saving the good things or the nice things for birthdays or a special occasion. And I am getting better in that department. But now I use the nice plates, the cloth napkins, just because I open the special wine because I feel like it on a Monday night. Life is short, don't we all know that? And it is worth it to make these small celebrations part of your everyday life. I've embraced that. And just as an aside, for you Francophile fashionistas out of there, I don't know if you've ever bought yourself a little gift that you think is kind of too nice for everyday use. I told you I'm guilty. And then it'll sit on your shelf. I'm looking at something over there or in your closet because you don't want to mess it up. You're saving it for that special night out. And I was the master of that. I do it less now. I have to tell you again that I do it less now. Trust me, following French people's lead. But I just want to quickly mention, there is a quiet luxury handbag brand, a French one, that I've fallen in love with. This is not sponsored. I pay for my own bag. And they are called Maison Rinceau, the House of Rinceau. And they actually rebranded in March of this year. So that's why my bag says Basile, not Maison Rinceau, because it was the old name. But their bags are gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. You don't have to spend 4 figures like you would on some of the designer names. You won't be scared to mess this thing up. It is beautiful. You'll want to use it. It's not going to sit in your closet. And I am a sucker for good design and craftsmanship. So if you're looking to celebrate a small French brand, maybe for the holidays or treat yourself to a gift, I actually reached out to them because I just love what they're doing so much. Got you a 5% discount code down in the description. And I also have a blog post I'd love for you to check out on my blog that I wrote about my favorite French quiet luxury handbag brands, if that's of interest. That's just an aside because some of these things that I told you about that have sat in my closet because I didn't want to mess them up, or let's say designer handbags. Oops. Okay, moving on. Number 6, enjoying life is a process. And I think the biggest surprise was realizing that enjoying life is not something you magically have if you just move to a beautiful place. It's something you have to practice. The French, just because they live in France, they're not constantly blissful. France is not a utopia where nothing ever goes wrong. French people have bad days. They have stress. They have struggles, of course, just like everyone else, just like you, just like me. But they also have cultural habits, things that are ingrained in how they live that make joy more accessible. And they lean into that. I love it. And it's taught me that I can build my own version of that wherever I live, just by being more intentional about how I spend my time and what I give my attention to. Now, the French, I want to be clear, they didn't hand me a manual on how to enjoy life. I mean, you don't just move to France and you're like, here, be happy, be great, everything's going to be fine. No, but what they did give me through observation, immersion, plenty of trial and error, is a deeper appreciation for presence, boundaries, and most of all, savoring the ordinary. You don't have to live in France, again, to learn these things. You could do it anywhere. But living here It absolutely gave me more space to see these things clearly. And again, I thank France for that. Now, maybe this is the biggest lesson of all. You could enjoy life more fully if you actually give yourself permission to do exactly that. And France has allowed me to. I love that. And I think I'm just going to leave it there for today. Thank you for being here, as always. And I'll see you back on We in France soon. Salut!